Which stove is best for bike packing? Is it gas, alcohol, or a wood stove? In this video, we're going to run through the pros and cons of all three of these, and at the end of the video, you should have a good idea of which one is best for you. Let's start with the gas stove, and I'll be honest, this is probably my preferred option. I've been using a gas stove for many years now, and it's kind of my go-to for most of my bike packing trips. But let's run through the pros and cons anyway. The first pro is that it's very quick to boil water, especially if you've got a system like this, a jet boil or something that's integrated. It's very efficient at boiling water quickly. The second pro is that you have control over the intensity of the flame, especially if you've got a good quality stove with a valve that allows you to adjust the flame. That's great if you're doing some cooking, so you haven't got it on full heat all the time. If you want to simmer something, you can do that. And the third pro is that it's clean. You're not going to have any residue on any of your pots. It's also very difficult to spill or drop the fuel like you would with other stoves, so it's very simple in that regard. It's also really easy to pack away, and it's convenient. It takes a couple of minutes to set up and even less time to put away. Moving on to the cons, and this might not be one that you've thought of unless you've gone bikepacking in some rather remote countries, but these sort of gas canisters aren't always the easiest to find, especially ones that fit your stove. This is like a screw mount. I know there's adapters out there that you can use, but it's not always that easy, and there are some countries where they're virtually impossible to get hold of. However, that is a minor con. Most places they are very easy to get hold of. Here in the UK you can buy them pretty much anywhere, so that's not an issue for me, but something to bear in mind if you're going somewhere a bit more remote. The second con is that if you're going bikepacking somewhere where it's really cold, like Arctic Norway or Iceland like I have, these gas canisters aren't always the best. They do suffer when the temperature drops extremely. It's quite inefficient at that sort of temperature, and it can take a lot longer to work unless you go for some sort of gas that is cold rated. And the final con is that getting rid of these canisters when they're empty is quite difficult. Not everywhere will accept them. It's difficult to recycle them, and you're not really supposed to just throw them away either. So in terms of waste, it's not the best. Moving on to alcohol stoves. These run on denatured alcohol if you're from America, or methylated spirit if you're here in the UK. You can make these at home if you're on a budget, or you can go out and buy more bespoke ones. This is from a Wildside Adventures Featherlight 700 stove kit. I did a review of that the other week. I'll leave a link if you want to watch it. Moving on to the pros, and the first is it's really simple. There's no moving parts, it's not complicated at all, and that's why a lot of people choose to make them at home. It's so light that even if you include the pan and the fuel and the windbreaker of the Featherlight 700, it still weighs less than 150 grams, which is just absolutely bonkers. And secondly, this sort of alcohol is really easy to get hold of. Most petrol stations sell it all over the world, so it's very easy to get your hands on if you need to restock. And on that, it is actually quite cheap. Just for a few pounds you can get a massive bottle of that, and that will last a really long time. And the final pro is that they are dead quiet. So if you're the sort of person like me who wants to go on a bikepacking trip and just enjoy the sounds of nature on an evening, even if you're cooking, this is the option for you. I'll also add in here that these are also very clean. They don't leave any residue on your pots, and they don't leave any soot on your hands either. So what are the cons then? Because so far it sounds pretty great. Well, the first one is that it's pretty inefficient as a fuel source. It does take a lot longer to boil some water, for example, and if it's windy, you really will struggle. You definitely need a windbreaker, something like this that you can sit on top to ensure that it doesn't blow out, but also to keep it efficient. Something like this does a really good job of keeping the heat in and increasing the speed in which it takes to boil the water. You also don't have any flame control like you do with a gas stove, which means it's not really suited for cooking. It's either all or nothing, which makes it fine for boiling water, but for other things, it's a little bit more faffy. You do then have to adjust the distance of the pan from the flame. It just makes it a little bit more challenging. And the final con is that because alcohol's not the most efficient, it does mean that you need to carry more with you if you're planning on doing lots of cooking or a really long trip, which then starts to add to the weight and the bulk. You can of course buy it when you're out and about, but if you're doing a really long distance one out in the wilderness, it's probably not suited to that either. And finally, moving on to the wood stove. This is mine. This is a Lixada folding wood stove. It packs down really flat and it is incredibly basic. It's basically just a metal shell which you put wood in. It does have holes around the side to allow air in, but other than that, it's super simple. So why would you want to use something like this versus a gas or an alcohol stove? Well, the first reason is that fuel is everywhere. You don't have to rely on shops being open to get hold of gas or alcohol, you can just pick up sticks and bark and what have you, put it in there, start the fire, and you're good to go. You can also argue that this is the lightest option. If you're doing a really long tour, you don't have to take the fuel with you like you do with the other two, so you just have to take the stove and rely on picking up the fuel while you're out. It's probably worth mentioning that this would be a good option if you're planning on being really remote, away from civilization, where you just cannot get access to gas or alcohol, because you know you've got a backup option. And at the end of the day, if everything's dry, you do have access to fuel pretty much wherever you are in the world. I personally think that's it for the benefits of a wood stove. Some people would argue that it's more sustainable because you aren't using fossil fuels, which is true, but you are still burning stuff, so I don't really feel that that's a good enough reason to go out and buy one. Right, so moving on to the cons, and you can probably already see one right here. It's very messy. It leaves a lot of soot and residue inside the stove, and you can get that everywhere, so it's a bit of a nightmare for that. The second con is probably pretty obvious if you live here in the UK, is that this needs dry fuel to work. So it's fine on a day like today where the ground's dry and there's plenty of wood to go around, but in the winter, or if we've had really heavy rain here in the UK, you simply will not be able to get this started, which means you've got no choice but to go and buy kindling or wood from a shop, which tends to come in massive bags, is incredibly cumbersome, and kind of defeats the point of this being a minimalist approach. It's worth pointing out that if you are planning on doing some cooking with this, it can be quite a challenge to get that right if you haven't had any practice. The flame does require constant attention. You do have to keep feeding it. You can't just put a pan on it and head off and do something. You do have to keep watching it. You can also overdo it. If you put too much fuel in there, the flame can get too hot and you can burn your food. So it's a bit of a skill set, just worth mentioning. And the final con, which is probably one that doesn't get talked about enough, is that there are a lot of places where there are actually legal restrictions in place that you can't start an open fire, like national parks or incredibly dry places like California, for example. You can actually get prosecuted if you do that. So for places like that, don't be an idiot, don't use something like this. So which stove is best for bike packing? Personally, I prefer the gas stoves. I do think that the cons are pretty minor, and in most scenarios this is the best option in my opinion. However, I have created a mini guide if you're on the fence to show you which one you should go for. If you're the sort of person who wants to save every gram or go on a really fast ultralight tour, then the alcohol stove will be the one for you. It's really light, and with just a small amount of fuel you can boil a couple of pots of water, which might be perfect for a weekend trip. It's also really cheap, so if you're on a budget, that would be the one I'd go for. If you're doing a short to medium tour in a well-developed country, I'd go for the gas stove. It's very easy to use, you get several burns out of it before you have to throw it away, and you can always get more if you're out on the road. If you're going hundreds of miles away from civilization and you can't rely on a shop being open to buy gas or alcohol, go for the wood stove. It's not the most reliable, but if you're well prepared and you've got some kindling with you, you should be able to make it work. Let me know which stove you use in the comments below, and also let me know if there's any pros or cons that I didn't mention that you think everyone should know about. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.